Like sometimes we think of confidence as like this bright, like this big and happy and shiny feeling and really expansive. And it is that at moments. But more so than that, the my understanding of that unconditional confidence is that you're okay, that okayness, no matter what is happening.
Welcome to the Wholesome Healing Collective.
Join us on our podcast for a journey into the hearts of healers from all walks of life, diving deep as we explore meaningful conversations that have the power to inspire, empower, and share life-changing wisdom.
Through this community, we hope to create a welcoming environment where our listeners leave feeling nurtured and uplifted. We're so delighted you are here. My name is Alyssa.
And I'm Renee. Grab a drink, get cozy, and let's dive in.
Welcome back to the Wholesome Healing Collective podcast. We are so happy to have Ada Undis here with us today. She is a happiness and confidence coach. She specializes in food freedom and body image, and we are so excited to talk about unconditional confidence today. And before we dive into that, I'd love to ask you our signature question. What is your favorite self-care practice?
Oh my gosh. First of all, thank you. I'm so excited to be here and so excited to dive into that topic. Thank you for having me today. Favorite self-care, hands down, walking. Being outside, walking my dogs. I try to do that every single day. We're fortunate enough to live in a fairly unpopulated area where I'm surrounded by the trees, and I've been walking the same path for 6 to 7 years now, almost every single day, and it's hands down the most the most grounding and just like caring experience that I can give myself.
I love that.
Yeah.
So we've got the topic of unconditional confidence, and I'm curious, like, what that means to you. Just before we dive in, that unconditional, that adjective added to the beginning there.
Yes. Yes. I found that throughout my journey, that adjective, the unconditional, landing in that adjective of unconditional was really incredible. And the reason why I always, whenever I talk about confidence, I always make the distinction between the conditional and the unconditional, because we think a lot of us know conditional confidence. A lot of us, and that's a lot of the times what we define as confidence is the when we feel good, as long as, or when, or because, right? Because of something, or thanks to something, or as long as something else doesn't happen. So as long as my body doesn't change, or as long as this fits, or as long as I'm strong, whatever, all of these little additional things, right? And I mean, we've all been there, and there is, like, even in unconditional confidence, there's that part of that conditionality a little bit. But the through my own journey, I found that there is a possibility of unconditional confidence, and it's the one that really removes everything external out of the equation. So no matter who you are, what you do, how successful you are, what your body looks like, what emotions you're feeling, all of the external things, and even with the emotions, the internal things, it that confidence is inherent. It never goes away. You might feel stronger, you might feel a little less of it, but it never goes away. And that's been the most amazing thing to discover, is that unconditionality of it, and know that no matter what, it's still there.
I love that. I feel like, honestly, I've only had a taste of conditional confidence in different areas of my life. And I think in the last, I don't know how long, but I think it's been occurring to me as I've been leaning into trusting myself more, that I need that unconditional aspect of it where I can, you know, feel confident in any scenario, or taking on any task, or going into any social situation, or whatever the new
Yeah,
challenge is. I think I put a lot of conditionality when it comes to existing experience. Like,
yeah,
oh, I'm confident in my job because I've done it for 10 years. Instead of just being like, I'm confident in my skills and I know I could do any job.
yeah,
So I love that.
yeah.
What's your origin story with this journey with confidence? Like, how did this become a passion, and maybe what gave you a taste of that unconditional confidence that made you be like, okay, I want this to be my whole life?
Yeah. Yeah. I honestly didn't know or I didn't know that you can have, I mean, everybody talks about, you can be confident no matter what. And I didn't know that was it. Like, I didn't know I could have that until a couple years ago. So it is a recent discovery along the journey. And my journey, like this more intentional, more conscious journey, because if you ask my mom, I've been on a journey since I was 3, but more conscious journey started with a very innocent goal. I mean, I got my first job, the freedom post college. You gain some weight because you're eating pizza all the time. And it really started with wanting to be a healthier version of myself. And I set myself a weight loss goal. And back in 2017, so it's almost 6 years, almost 7 years. Oh my gosh, we're coming up on 2024. Crazy. And and while that year, I have achieved that on the outside, it it brought me down to one of the darkest places I've ever been when it comes to my worth, knowing who I am, my feeling confident, and just feeling myself. I remember that summer I was so excited because I was like, this is going to be the summer that I'm gonna wear a bikini and I'm gonna feel good in it and it's going to be fantastic. And I achieved my goal of that said weight loss in those, by that summer. And it it was far from confident. I pretended to be confident. I got a lot of validation from the outside. I got a lot of, I was celebrated so much from my family members, from everybody around me. I celebrated fitting into an X, size of pants and all of these things. And on the inside, I have never felt so lost and so obsessed with food, with exercise. I mean, I cried trying to match my recipes to make sure that the app, it matched my app. I spent 2 hours walking after my corporate job just to get 20,000 steps because it was some sort of success metric that I had. And there came a point where I was standing in my living room, and like to this day, and I will remember that moment forever. I have a B-shaped belly, so it has like a little crease in the middle. And I remember standing there and thinking, I hate you for looking the way that you look. And if only that part of me changed, then I could feel good because everything was great besides that one part of me. And that lasted probably 2 years of navigating who I am and how to stay healthy, like the obsessions with food and with changing different ways that I eat and exercise. And finally, I said, I'm done. Enough. I mean, it became like I developed so much anxiety. There was, I was not the happy, bright, sunshiny self that I've always been. And my husband was like, what happened to you? Like, what happened? Where are you? Where you're never here. You're just you're not yourself. And it was really painful to hear that afterwards, how people really close to me saw what was happening. Um, and that one day I decided that I was done, and I adopted my little hashtag that I came, like my Find Your Happy hashtag. And I came, or I started the journey of trying to climb out of that hole. And each year since then, I thought I had that confidence. I was like, oh, this is it. This is, as long as I'm exercising this way, I'm feeling good. And I thought every single year that confidence looked a little different. And every single year it started to really move away from the conditions and move into, because I became burnt out. I mean, I became burnt out from focusing on food so much. I became burnt out from exercising. So eventually I had to let it go because of all the other things that were happening in my life. And it wasn't, and like every year I was like, oh, this is what confidence, this is it. This is it. And then another year came and I let go of more things and my body changed even more. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe this is maybe that's the confidence, that maybe this is it. And then eventually, when I really dove into my inner self, I did a lot of work, internal work, hard work, which I never thought I would need, right? Because I always, it's like, no, I'm okay. Like, I never had anything bad happen to me or whatever. And I still went and hired a coach and did a program. And I, surprisingly, it uncovers a lot about you. And it wasn't until the last couple of years that, in a body that's significantly different than even in the very beginning, I started to become one with my whole entire existence, with all of my insecurities, with all of the fear, with all of the doubt. And that's when I started to notice that I'm okay. I'm okay no matter what is happening, no matter where I am, what I'm doing, not doing, how my business, my workouts, no matter what's happening, I'm okay. And I think, and it's been a steady year and a half of, okay, this is, now I know what that true confidence feels like.
Mm, that's such a beautiful journey. And I love how you said it was a process. Like every year you're peeling back a layer, diving
Hmm.
deeper into what confidence means for you and what it feels like.
Hmm.
I would love for you to explore like that feeling in your body, that confidence. What does that unconditional confidence feel like for you?
Honestly, the word that I've been using is okayness. Like sometimes it, we think of confidence as like this bright, like this big and happy and shiny feeling and really expansive. And it is that at moments. But more so than that, the my understanding of that unconditional confidence is that you're okay, that okayness, no matter what is happening. So do I still have days where I feel entirely insecure? Sure. There's a lot of insecurities that still show up. There's still a lot of like, oh, I miss this about my like previous like body image wise. Um, or there's those thoughts where it's like, oh, maybe I should change something or not. But no matter how those insecurities show up, or if there is, I'm scared of something because Renee, you mentioned the the like the outside, the social situations. Like I'm an introvert. Like all of the nervousness is always there. And then as an introverted coach, that puts you in a lot of scary situations. Like being out there and with people and talking but it really comes down to that steadiness, that grounded energy, that feeling okay, that even if the insecurity or fear or doubt is in there, like underneath all of that, I I don't feel like I have to change anything. It's just that I'm okay. I'm me. I'm okay. This is just one of the things that's happening.
And I'm curious, when those feelings of insecurity arise, is that kind of the process you go through with yourself of like, okay, I'm feeling this. Where is it coming from? And then is it that like, no, I'm okay. I'm feeling into that layer
Hmm.
beneath it. And it's like, that's my anchor.
Pretty much. I know in the very beginning, like that was very hard because we're, I mean, we're surrounded by the messaging and we've been, not a lot of that of us were taught how to deal with the more uncomfortable emotions. And like insecurity is scary, right? Insecurity is scary. It can, well, I mean, it took out, it can take you out and just make you hide and it can really overpower. And there isn't like many of us have never been exposed to how to deal with that. It's like you either shove it, right? It's like, oh, I'm gonna pretend that that's not there, or it overpowers so much that you don't know how to get out of it. And in the beginning, that was a very hard thing because I had to unlearn the message that feeling insecure is bad or feeling
Mm,
fearful is bad or I have to get rid of feeling insecure or I have to get rid of feeling scared or doubtful. Um, and it was it challenging because you almost feel like there is something wrong with you and you have to fix it right away because it's so uncomfortable. And through again it's the through the process of, and that was one of the most transformational things I've ever learned, is that unconditional, when we're talking about that unconditional confidence, it doesn't exist when we're not insecure. It's when that insecurity shows up and we embrace it.
mm,
Like it's part of confidence. Insecurity is a fundamental part of feeling confident. And now I've gotten to a point where, one, I know my body so much that I know all of my uncomfortable feelings and I can pinpoint which one it is even before it shows up. It's like my body feels, sometimes I laugh because I feel anxiety or a ping of anxiety or something in my body before I even know what I'm anxious about. I'm like, excuse me, what are we anxious about? But when that insecurity shows up, it's not a threat anymore. It's more so like, oh, okay, cool. Thanks for being here. I'm gonna wait you out a little bit and then we're gonna figure out what's next. So like that there's that insecurity and it's also like not even on the other side, but like together with it, it's that okayness. It's like, oh
yeah,
hi, I'm not scared of you anymore. We'll just wait you out a little bit.
that's amazing. I feel like we talk about that a lot in different ways. And it's so beautiful to hear that from your perspective, this concept of like what we resist persists. And
Hmm.
it's so easy to be like, when that insecurity comes up, to try and ignore it. Like, no,
Yeah.
I'm not insecure. I'm not going to feel
Mhm.
that, because you're trying to override it so that you can, no, I'm confident. I'm confident. I'm
Yes.
feel that. And so it persists. And like you said, when we can just say, hey, I see you. Thank you for whatever concern. And I'm still okay.
Yeah.
And we're still going to move forward.
Yeah.
So that's so beautiful, because I think when we are actively doing, shadow work, or we're in a program and we're diving deep, it's like, okay, we're expecting to have to face things. So we, go through those motions. But really, it's in those day to day moments when those things arise, that's like the opportunity for us to put everything we learn into practice and acknowledge those feelings and be with
Yes.
them and get to know them, so that you can,
Yes.
like, oh, this is coming up. Why? Let's take
Yeah.
it. So that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the day-to-day the day-to-day practice and like as you're in the work. The universe has the magical way of giving you exactly what you want, what you don't want to experience right there and then so you want to work with it. But yeah, it's just getting to know, like coming out of the fear of insecurity, right? And the judgment of insecurity. I mean, we end up judging ourselves and the insecurity for existing and persisting. And the more we do that, I mean, it's like a little annoying toddler, right? The more you push it away, the more it comes back, right? And the more persistent it gets. It's like, hi, just notice me, please. And as soon as you do, and that's what, whenever I coach someone, that's what they find so incredible is like we spend 60 seconds feeling whatever's coming up, and all of a sudden it just moves away, and they're like, what just happened?
Yeah.
Usually it just has a hold on me, and it just moved away.
Yeah. Letting it run its course, be
Yeah,
acknowledged, like, oh, okay, now I can move on.
yeah, exactly. It feels so hard, and yet it, as you do it, it becomes so easeful.
Yeah. And I wonder, maybe we can double click into that riding the course of feeling the emotions for that
Yeah,
short time. Because I think that when we get sucked into the emotion, it's like, well, of course I'm feeling it every day, like I'm in it. And people don't realize that there's a difference between being in it and sucked in, and you're
yeah,
feeling it, resisting versus just being with it with your full presence and allowing the bigness of the emotion to
yeah.
be there.
Yeah.
I'm wondering.
I just had that with a client, and we talked about, she was like, everybody tells you to breathe. And like that never works to me because there was no intention behind it. There was no explanation behind what are you doing with that breath? What are you supposed to be like, okay, it's like, if you just tell me to breathe or tell me to feel it, it's almost like telling me to calm down. It does not
Mhm.
work. That does not work, right? And found what I find is that we get I don't think we get sucked into the emotion. I think we get sucked into the thoughts. And
Mm,
the more we get
story.
sucked into
Yeah.
the story, the more that cycles, right? Because we feel the emotion brings up some automatic default stories, and we get sucked into that story, and it just keeps perpetuating that feeling. So we feel like the emotion has a hold on us, but in reality we just perpetuate the stories. We get sucked into our mind. And with the pausing and the feeling, the intention is to I always love exploring the emotion. So drop, like, the stories will run, your mind will be busy, and bringing your attention to getting to know that emotion, like almost in a, like, as if you were to draw it, right? As if you were to, where is it in your body, and how does it look like, and how do you imagine it? Is it big? Is it small? Does it move? Is it a solid shape? Is it a gas? Or like describing it in an almost like a very childlike way, so that we're, one, putting that visual in, but also bringing our, or teaching our mind to not focus on the stories as much.
Mm,
And as we explore that emotion, and as we just kind of hang out, because that automatically makes you hang out with it, right? It's like, describe it to me as if I didn't know what it feels like. And you just kind of hang out with it, and all of a sudden you notice that it's not that powerful when we're not actively focusing on the stories.
yes. That's the perfect differentiation. Thank you. That's
Yeah.
so perfect.
Yeah, and that clock starts ticking, when you start like feeling into it and describing it, and it's like you're sidetracked because
Hmm.
you're busy describing that you don't even realize that you're already spending time with that emotion.
Hmm. Exactly. It's like it doesn't have to be a quiet spending time, right? Like a lot of the people, or a lot, I hear, when it comes to breathing or meditation, it doesn't have to be that quiet, uncomfortable way. It can be, you can be describing it to someone, you can be drawing it out, right? You can have some questions that are just, okay, how does it look like? And where do I feel it? And just being like a curious little being, that almost like, I mean, your emotions will always be there with you. So you might as well get to know them and
Yeah.
figure out what they are.
Absolutely. As the universe would have it, I got an email this morning about confidence. I follow Jay Shetty, and he does
Uh-huh.
a weekly, I think he calls it like a weekly dose of inspiration or whatever. And so the topic this week was wild confidence, is what he calls it.
I love that.
And I was like, oh, this is perfect timing. And one of the things he said about it was that developing confidence is unlearning what the world taught you about self-worth,
Mm-hmm.
and about how we learn from such an early age that everything we do is not enough.
Mm-hmm.
From the grade we get or the Lego tower
Mm-hmm.
we build, it's like, oh, that's nice, but you could have done this or you could have done that, or and so I'm just curious about your thoughts on that unlearning process, and um yeah, maybe how that confidence journey has, how it intersects with the self-worth
Oh
and
yeah.
building that self-worth in yourself.
Yeah. Such a beautiful question, and I love that the unlearning of what self-worth is, because um it all comes down to definitions, right? We love defining things because it gives us a framework. And when we grow up and when we go through life, all of these definitions get put on us, right? That we see somewhere out there. Oh, this is what good enough means. Oh, this is what worthy means. Or this person, even watching our parents, right? Or our families, there is this even subconscious definition that gets rooted into us. And oh, I had in another conversation that I just recently had, I asked the person, I was like, what is your definition of confidence? What would you like that confidence slash self, because confidence and self-worth are really walking hand in hand, right?
Yeah.
Because if, like, again, with that unconditional confidence especially, it's so highly tied to the self-worth, because I mean, both are inherent. Both exist there. We were just conditioned to think that there is something that we need to do in order to feel worthy, in order to feel good enough. I just had a thought this morning when I was working out. I was like, good enough is a default. It's not something that you're working towards. Like, good enough is a
Mhm.
default.
Mhm.
And starting the process, like the unlearning, it's the whole journey starts with you coming back to yourself, really, and realizing that you get to define all the things for yourself. You get to choose what definition of confidence you want to live in, right? You get to choose what kind of definition of worthiness. Like, what does that mean to you? We always look outside to help us define something. It's like, tell me when I'll be worthy. Please, internet, give me pointers, right? Please let me know when I'll be able to be worthy. Forgetting that we get to define it for ourselves. And it is scary because it's breaking apart from everything that we know. Because again, nobody ever told me, right? Nobody ever taught us. That's like, we always say you can create your own path and be your own person, right? And like, nobody explains what that means. Nobody can tell you that just because my confidence or my life looks this way doesn't mean that you have to be confident in the same way, right? Some people have that wild confidence, some people have bold confidence, some people have quiet confidence. And it really starts with asking, I mean, everything starts with asking questions,
Yeah.
right? What definition of worthiness or confidence do I have now? Right? And I would start there, because we think we know. Sometimes we like, our mind thinks that it knows what we're striving for, but most of the time when I ask someone to define confidence or self-worth, they're like, I don't, I have no clue actually. I don't know what I'm striving. I don't know where it came from. I don't have a good answer to that. So starting with that question of, okay, what definition of worthiness or good enoughness or confidence are you living out now? And then get curious about if that's actually something that feels right for you.
Yeah. That's that's a beautiful place to start. I love that. And it always does start with the questions.
Yeah. The more you ask, the better, the more you'll find out. And I think that's what we forget. Like we get, okay, like let's bring kids as an example, right? Like especially when it comes to confidence or worthiness. Um, you're the I always say confidence is inherent, right? Not a lot of people believe me, but then when you look at kids, like tell me that look at a 2 year old, a 3 year old that's running around in an outfit that they picked out that they're really proud of, screaming their head off in the middle of a busy street because they have something to say. Tell me that we're not born with confidence, right? And that is such kids are such a beautiful example that confidence we've always had that confidence and it's always been there. Um, and it is through, and then through kind of showing up in the world and then all of our fears get created and all of our stories get created. But we also lose something else from when we're a kid, and it's that curiosity
Mhm.
that asking questions about everything, right? And I think that's that curiosity we stop leading with curiosity and we start leading with judgment as we grow up of all of the things that we don't like about ourselves. And it doesn't work. The more we judge,
Mhm.
it doesn't really work. But the more we come back to our childlike selves and the more we start asking those questions, the more we get to find out who we really are and what is it that we want to do and how we want to do it.
Mm. I
Yeah.
love questions like that too, because I think it really reveals to you what has been self-determined and what
Mhm.
you've adopted from the outside world. So a
Yeah,
lot of times when we can't come up with our own definition, it's because we've been living out the definition of everyone else.
yeah. And it might not be matching to us.
Yeah. Mm, good stuff.
Mm.
Yeah. I love this. Um, is there any tips you have or any messages you'd want to share with the audience about the unconditional confidence? What you wish you would have known from the beginning or anything like that?
Um, I don't think I wish I like as hard as my journey was. That's one of the things that I always think about. It's like I don't think I'm so grateful for that. As hard as it was, it allowed me to be where I am. So I don't think I wish to have known anything else in the very beginning. But the as you're wanting to start to explore your confidence, I would literally start like that would be my biggest tip is to start asking questions, to start getting curious, both around the emotions that you feel scared of, both around the emotions and both around the stories that you have, just to get curious, just to see what you're living what you're living out of, what definitions you have, what stories are you telling yourself? Because a lot of the times, again, we just automatically live and we don't know. Like we feel insecure and we want to be confident, but we don't know where it's coming from, how it's what stories are you living out of and where those stories came from. So whenever you feel yourself judging yourself or judging your thoughts or feeling really shameful around some things, turn into curiosity and start exploring. Imagine yourself being a kid and start exploring both your emotions and your thoughts, and that can give you so much insight because all in all, you get to choose what you want to believe in.
Yeah.
Yes. I love that. You get to choose what you get to believe in, what you believe
Yeah.
in. I love that. Any last questions, Renee?
Mm, I don't think so. I feel like that was a wonderful journey. Yeah.
Thank you for
Beautiful.
having me and exploring it.
Yeah, we're so happy to have you here. And where can our listeners find you? Do you have a website, or are you on Facebook or Instagram?
Yeah. Easiest way to find me is on Instagram because you can just search my first and last name, Ada Undis, and that's where I hang out the most. And if you want to learn more about the work that I do, and the coaching that I do, you can always visit my website at FYHappy, FindYourHappy.com.
Mm, find your happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great website name.
Yeah. I was like, my program is not the way. I was like, I just ran with it. Find Your Happy has became the thing.
I love
Mm,
it.
Yeah.
beautiful. Thank you so much for watching this episode with us today. And we're so happy to have our guest here talking about unconditional confidence. And we hope that you have a beautiful rest of the day, and we'll see you again next time.